just not seeing the coronary arteries. It is much more than that. We can see the diagnosis, etiology, as well as the treatment of heart failure. It has a definite role in evaluating this. So coming to ejection fraction, we can calculate ejection fraction also along with coronary arteries in CT. We do the retrospective ECG gating. And like this, we can get the volumes of in the diastole as well as systole, and the ejection fraction can be calculated with CT. Though there might be a slight overestimation as compared to CMR in evaluating the ejection fraction. But according to American College of Cardiology guidelines, CT may be useful for wall motion as well as in function. As we all know, compared to CMR, CT is very fast. It is just 5-second heart scan, and we get a lot of information. When we do retrospective ECG gating, we get the whole cardiac cycle. So in the whole cardiac cycle, we can do the functional assessment like this. We get these volume rendered images and images in all the planes like this. And then we can calculate the stroke volume and the ejection fraction. I think I'm perfectly audible, and the screen is shared now, Mona. Hello?
Yes,
yes, you're audible.
Yeah, all is good. Thank you. Yeah, please carry on, Dr.
So I'll continue. Yeah. Along with after the ejection fraction, we can even see the regional wall motion abnormalities with CT. Though CMR and echocardiography are the mainstay in this, but once we acquire the data, we can see the cine loop display, and certain times we can see the wall of motion abnormalities of LAD and LCX territories very well. It can be used to evaluate right ventricle, which is certain times difficult on echocardiography, and CMR is again very good for evaluating RV. So we get these images, cine images like this in short axis, in long axis, in 4-chamber, and we can look for the cine abnormalities as well. Now coming to heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, and in diagnosis for diastolic function abnormalities of LV, CT is not currently used, but it has a role in future. According to a study by Boogers et al., there is almost 79% accuracy for evaluating diastolic function. And we can calculate even the transmitral flow velocities as well as mitral valve ring motion abnormalities at septum with CT. But it is not currently used. It has a definite role in future for this. Now, once we establish the diagnosis of congestive heart failure, we have to see for the etiology of heart failure. So CT helps us in looking for ischemic as well as non-ischemic cardiomyopathy, what is the cause of heart failure. We all know CT is very good. It is very fast, non-invasive in evaluating the coronary arteries. It is just a 5-second heart scan or less than that in today's world, and with heart rate, not a big problem. We always take a calcium score before doing the angiography. And though the clinical utility of calcium score in CHF is not very much known, but once there is a calcium score of 0, there is almost 100% specificity in excluding high-risk CAD. So a Gaston score we always do before doing a CT angiography. Once we give a contrast and we do angiography, CT gives us non-invasive assessment of coronary arteries with a very high sensitivity of almost 98% and specificity of 97%. In fact, in heart failure, there is an ongoing trial going on, IMAGE-HF Project 1C, where they are comparing the invasive catheter angiography and CT angiography for evaluating coronary evaluation in patients of heart failure. We can do CT even in patients who have higher heart rate, because most of these patients of heart failure have a higher heart rate, and heart rate is a difficult thing to control in these patients. So we can do CT in those patients also. And machines who are more than 64 slice and have a software for myocardial perfusion, it is like the great, because you can do the same thing, the CT myocardial perfusion in one go only. So we get the images like this. We get this globe view, these curved MPRs, which show us in this patient that there is a TVD, there is a significant stenosis in RCA, PDA, as well as the LCX and LAD as well. So this is a patient of TVD, just done 5 to 7 second scan, and we get this whole information about the coronary arteries. The CT tells us not only just the lumen, it tells us also the wall. The plaque imaging is coming up nowadays in a big way. So here we can see in these MPRs, there is this eccentric plaque, soft plaque, which is causing significant stenosis, seen here on the volume rendered image as well at the left main origin. These are the IVUS views which are showing these images, the plaque and the stenosis very well. And this is certain times difficult even on a catheter angio. If a person is new, he might just miss it. So CT is very helpful in looking beyond the coronary arteries. In left main narrowing or spasm, most of the time the interventional cardiologist is able to solve this on the table. But certain times we do get the queries like this, whether it was just a spasm or there was a plaque, concentric plaque as seen here in the left main, which is causing the significant narrowing. We can image any heart rate. I'm saying any heart rate depending on the software which you have and the vendor machine, where you can use the snapshot burst or the freeze, where you can do the editing of the ECG as well. Then you can do CT coronary angiography even at a higher heart rate in patients of acute coronary syndrome or heart failure, where you cannot kind of stabilize the heart rate. There you can get the coronary arteries as well as seen here in this patient, the volume rendered image as well as the curved MPR showing the coronary arteries very well. This patient was of a COPD patient, no beta blocker could be given, and the patient had a heart rate of 93. Even in unstable heart rates, when we can do the editing of the ECG, we are still able to get the coronary arteries very well. Even in this patient where there was unstable heart rate, we could get the coronary arteries. In fact, we have done a coronary angiogram in a 2 to 3 month old child, where we could not even calculate, stabilize the heart rate, the respiratory rate. Just with 5 ml contrast, we could do the coronary arteries. Now, coming to CT myocardial perfusion, we don't have this in our hospital. These are borrowed images. But CT myocardial perfusion gives us anatomical as well as the physiological images in one go. It is kind of one-stop shop. In this patient, 63-year-old female, there was a patient had unstable diabetes mellitus and atypical angina. And when the CTP was done on the CT coronary angiography images, a suspected stenosis was there in the distal RCA. And when the perfusion images were taken, like these beautiful colored images, which is done with dynamic CTP, there was this reversible defect. There was a defect at stress. And this patient underwent PCI later. So myocardial perfusion, when it is done, is coming in a big way in CT, and it helps us to give us the functional abnormality as well as anatomical in one go. We can do the whole cardiac body angio along with the cardiac angiogram. Like this, we had done long back with margin imaging. I was there. So we could see the coronary arteries along with the whole body cardiac angio. And this was kind of 22-second scan. We could get the whole data. Now, we all know that CT has a definite role in looking at ischemic cardiomyopathy and the coronary arteries. But nowadays, when we get the CT images, since it has a very good spatial resolution, if we try, we can look at the other causes also. Like in non-ischemic cardiomyopathy, we all know CT sees very well the fat. So certain times we can see the fat in the RV wall, or we can see these trabeculations or the areas of non-compaction in the LV as well. But CMR is definitely better than CT in all non-ischemic cardiomyopathy. People who are doing CT myocardial perfusion can even calculate the ECV based on CT. And these are the areas which are still, the work is going on. And definitely in future, we will be able to see much more of this. And it is much faster, much easier to do than a CMR. CT is again very helpful in looking at the anatomical details. It has a very high spatial resolution. This was a patient of heart failure with who had underwent PCI earlier. And when we did the CT, we could see these two aneurysms, which are seen very well here with the area of short segment narrowing in between. When we saw the images later on these images, we could see this subendocardial hypodensity. So this was consistent with the ischemia the patient was undergoing. So along with the images, anatomical images, we could see even the area of ischemia in the myocardium as well. The anatomical, all the congenital malformations are very well seen on CT. This was a patient of L kappa, just an image to show that there was the origin of abnormal left main from the pulmonary artery, and large intercoronary collaterals were there. This was an adult patient. Now, there is a talk, I think, already in the forum for TAVR, And CT has a major role in TAVR and the mitral valve lesion. This is a talk by own itself. And in congestive heart failure, looking at the valve lesions, CT gives us beautifully all the valve area, the planimetry, looking at the types of the valve. We can look at the motion of the valve, how is their position, whether there is calcification or not. CT gives us all the information. This was a patient of TAVR which we had done at our place. We could easily see that this was a type 1 bicuspid aortic valve, and incidentally, we even found that patient had a single kidney. So along with the heart, you get all the details. One patient had in fact a tumor in the kidney. So that was one thing we was not knowing, and the patient had come for TAVR. So it gives us a lot of extra cardiac information as well. Sorry. In our hospital, we are using CT also to evaluate the alpha angle and the distance from sternum to the aortic arch, the ascending aorta in patients who are undergoing mini AVR, to like whether they are accessible for mini AVR or not. If the alpha angle is more than 45 degrees, then the surgeon definitely goes and tries for mini AVR in patients of aortic stenosis. Now, coming to treatment of heart failure, CT has a definite role in evaluating this. In CRT, which is a common treatment module for CHF, CT helps us to look for CRT non-responders. Why the CRT is not helpful in the patient of heart failure? It can help us to look at this LV disc synchrony, though echocardiography is mainstay in that, but CT also looks at the wall motion abnormalities. The CT tells us with one injection, non-invasively, the cardiac venous anatomy. So it gives us, prior to doing CRT, if there are any abnormalities, the congenital variations like this, there is a low origin of lateral vein, we know whether this patient will be the CRT will be helpful or not. In fact, post-lead placement also, it helps us to look for the areas of myocardial scarring and why the CRT is not responding in these patients. When the left ventricular assisted devices are used, CT helps us to tell us with one injection all the outflow tracts, the inflow cannula, whether there are any complications like cannula thrombosis, malposition, or deformation in one go. It is very, very helpful in this evaluation of LVAD placements. In fact, it is also helpful at the same time to look at RV, why the right heart failure is there, or because in these patients there are a lot of metallic things. So echo certain times is difficult because of poor acoustic window. So CT helps us in evaluating the patients of LVAD. Patients who have undergone heart transplant for CHF, there is an entity known as CAV, cardiac allograft vasculopathy, which is very common. Almost 50% of the patients do get this within 10 years. And the patients of heart transplant should be screened for this. So if there is a CAV, there is a definite treatment has to be taken, because severe CAV will have a poor prognosis. And there's another how we can evaluate is by intravascular ultrasound during catheter angiography. So instead of going invasive, we can do the screening for CAV with CT only. And it is also helpful, as we know, not to just soothe the lumen, but the non-invasively we can look at the intimal hyperplasia as well. The limitations of CT are contrast reaction, which can be taken care of nowadays with the good contrast, isotonic contrast, which we have nowadays. The breath hold is a problem with patients of CHF, and certain times they are not even able to breath hold for 8 to 10 seconds. Then CT is definitely a problem, because we do require a good breath hold for at least 5 to 6 seconds to get the CTA. Radiation can be taken care of with the new machines and the new softwares which we have. CT gives us just 1 to 5 millisievert as compared to catheter angio, which is 2 to 2.5 millisieverts. So CT as a whole, if I would like to sum up, gives us coronary arteries, perfusion, function, as well as the myocardial fibrosis. This is really coming up nowadays. So it is kind of one-stop shop for us in heart failure. And thank you so much for this. Thank you, the organizers.
Thank you.
Yeah.